We are back to kick off another week of Movie News Daily as we have more Scream 7 updates. We've got updates on the next Evil Dead movie, plus Dune Part 3 news, the Face Off sequel, and more here on Movie News Daily here on JC's Movies. Let's get into it. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Welcome back into JC's Movies, where you can see all kind of movie and TV show talk with me, JC, especially within the superhero, comedy, and horror genres. So if those are genres you're a fan of and you haven't yet, be sure to take a second out, hit that subscribe button as we continue to grow the channel here. That helps out. You'll also get movie news updates every weekday here, Monday through Friday, with the Movie News Daily Show, what you're checking out the February 23rd edition of right now. And you can also help out just by hitting that little thumbs up button, giving this video a like will help it hit that YouTube algorithm so it can find other movie and TV show fans like you and me. With that out of the way, we're going to get set to dive into today's show as we have plenty to talk about. Everything that I mentioned there in the opening, plus we got some more DCU news and a bunch of fun stuff. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's lead off with On This Day, February 23rd, some movies that were released on this day in the past as I continue to share these on social media. And if you haven't yet, give me a follow here on X at JC's Movies. You see it there on the screen where I put this out every day. I also put this out on our Instagram there on JC's Movies. But today on February 23rd, we had Pinocchio released in 1940. The Number 23, an underrated Jim Carrey movie, in my opinion, released in 2007. And then a couple of good ones in 2018 in Game Night and Annihilation. Annihilation, another one that's underrated, in my opinion. So we'll lead off with that. And from there, how about an update on the next Evil Dead movie? Yes, we got Evil Dead Burn coming out this year, but already the next one is in production, and that will be titled Evil Dead Wrath, as we've talked about previously, directed by Francis Jaluppi, and it is a different spin-off, much like, Evil Dead and Evil Dead Burn, but Evil Dead Burn, of course, will release this year on July 24th, so we're getting Evil Dead Burn this year, and sounds like there's a good chance we'll get Evil Dead Wrath next year. And from there, we have this from Bloody Disgusting, quoting The Hollywood Reporter, as Adam Wingard no longer attached to direct Face Off 2, which of course is going to be a sequel to the 1997 action thriller from John Woo starring Nick Cage and John Travolta. Awesome movie. And this is a little bit disappointed, one, because I like Adam Wingard's work usually, and two, because he had planned to bring Nicolas Cage back, as you see here on Bloody Disgusting. Paramount now looking for a new director. And this is one of those movies that I would not be surprised if it ends up going by the wayside and they don't even end up making this project now. But I could be wrong. I mean, I'll watch it if they make it, but if you're not having Adam Wingard and this means you're not bringing Nick Cage back, kind of find it hard to see that this one's going to get off the ground. And of course, we are in the midst of Scream 7 release week. We got 3 more Scream reviews coming at you this week as we'll drop the review for Scream 4, 5, and 6 and the lead up to 7 coming out this weekend. Can't wait for that. But how about a little tease from Scott Foley talking about the return of Roman Bridger here in Scream 7 as he tries his best not to give anything away in this interview, which credit to Happy Horror Time for this clip.
Listen, he definitely died in Scream 3.
Okay.
We saw it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that Kevin has figured out his place. Jesus, this is terrible. Oh, forgive me. The way Kevin's figured out his place in this film, at least in my mind, when it was explained to me and when we shot it, made complete sense and didn't seem like it was going to be one of those things where people would see it and be like, "Oh, come on." Like it seemed like there was like it could happen. Like there's a legit reason behind his appearance.
Hey, I like that. Yeah. That is not looking. You're terrified.
And that just makes me laugh because Scott Foley trying so hard to carefully choose his words so as not to give anything away. But to me, what he says there definitely lends credence to the theory that's been ongoing about him possibly coming back via AI, and maybe the same for some other returning characters. We'll see if that does indeed factor in. But when you take into account what he said there at the beginning, that he definitely did die in Scream 3, I don't know in what other capacity it could be. There's only two ways to do that, and it's either AI or in flashback form, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens. But hey, another little Scream 7 tidbit in the lead up to the release later this week. From there, we got Timothée Chalamet dishing a little bit on Dune Part 3, which I'm super excited for, and discussing film, sharing this one on social media, quoting a Variety article. But he says it is both the eeriest and biggest swing of the trilogy, which that gives me some hope, and that's interesting. He says it was my last time doing a Dune film, so I really wanted to treat it as sacred. Can't wait for Dune 3, and Chalamet is going to deliver a great performance, as always. And then just a small DCU tidbit here, an update, because there started to be a rumor going around that James Gunn was going to wait on Batman Brave and the Bold because he didn't want to have two Batmans going on at the same time. So he was going to let Matt Reeves not only put out the Batman 2, but finish that entire trilogy with the third movie as well. So someone came out and asked him that on social media, if that was true. And yet again, James Gunn does a great job of debunking all of these rumors as he debunks that one as well. Don't think we'll be having to wait that long for Batman Brave and the Bold. We'll have to wait a little bit, but he's definitely going to still put it out even in the midst of the Matt Reeves trilogy in that Elseworlds universe, if you will. The DCU Batman will coexist with it, in my opinion, and James Gunn seems to share that opinion. And we talked a little bit about a sequel to an older movie earlier. Well, how about a remake? More on that side of things here with American Psycho, Bloody Disgusting sharing this one. And of course, this was announced a couple of years ago, and we got a little bit of an update on it, if you can call it that, from Bret Easton Ellis, who was the author of the original book. But he says the new American Psycho film is completely different, and major stars turned down the role, which is interesting because when they first announced it sounded like Austin Butler was going to be attached to play Patrick Bateman, but I'm guessing that's not the case now. As we get into the article and they detail that Austin Butler was poised to star, but nothing has been officially set, and casting discussions on the project continue. And Bret Easton Ellis shared on a recent podcast that a couple of high-profile actors who he can't name have turned it down. I mean, I'm guessing one of those would have to be Austin Butler, since it was already previously reported that he was attached. He says he thinks it's maybe because they don't want to be in the shoes of Christian Bale, and it's going to be hard to find somebody to take on that Patrick Bateman role after Christian Bale did such a phenomenal job with it back in the original movie. But he goes on to note, from what he's told, this movie is going to be completely different from Mary Herron's 2000 movie, and it's a completely different take and going to bear no resemblance to that movie, which I think is intriguing as well. And we'll see what ends up happening with this one. Still one that, who knows if it's going to end up coming to fruition or not, but it will be Lionsgate putting it out if it does, with Luca Guadagnino directing this one as well. So we'll see what happens with American Psycho moving forward on this project. And then just lastly, not exactly movie news, but being the huge Kevin Smith fan I am, and of course fan of superheroes, as you guys know, this one's right up my alley. As soon as I saw this, I said, take my money. I'd heard, Kevin Smith teasing on his podcast some big stuff coming that he was working on comic-wise. Finally gets announced, and this is really cool. A Jay and Silent Bob and Marvel crossover comic, Jay and Silent Bob, Jay's a Future Past. Love that title. It's going to follow the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Avengers after Dr. Doom says Jay and Silent Bob should die. Kevin Smith wrote it. So super excited about that, and got a little bit of a look at the artwork here and the potential cover for that comic. Can't wait for this one. Something awesome coming from Kevin Smith that definitely be adding to my collection. And with that, we will wrap up another edition of Movie News Daily. It's Scream 7 week. Get it up, baby. Let's go. Can't wait. I know you guys are just as excited as I am. I'm sure we'll be talking more about that through the week. Be on the lookout for the reviews for Scream 4, Scream 5, and 6 on the channel. Check out the review of 1, 2, and 3 if you haven't already, which have been released previously. And of course, we'll get Scream 7 content out over the weekend as well once we get a chance to check that one out here. Super excited about it. Thanks, guys, for tuning into this one. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Anything that we talked about here, anything you want to talk about there, movie related for that matter. Always enjoy chatting movies with you guys, and those interactions help me continue to grow the JC's Movies channel here on YouTube. Appreciate you guys tuning into this one, and I will catch you on the next one.